My name is Dick Duchamp. I'm president of the Pony Express Museum. This is the 24th year that we were going to have Pumpkinfest. And the very first year that the Pumpkinfest committee started talking about pumpkins, they said, okay, we got to get somebody to raise pumpkins. And so I held up my hand because I had a little farm at Easton, Missouri. I also found a professor at Missouri Western College, and he was from Russia. And everyone in Russia raises pumpkins. They put them in their floors in the wintertime, and then they eat them throughout the winter. And so he came out each day after the pumpkins started growing, and he picked by hand every bug off of the pumpkins. We had a beautiful crop, and I thought, man, this is a piece of cake. Don't have to worry about pumpkins. So next year we went out, we planted the pumpkins, had beautiful blooms, and thought we were going to have a nice patch, and started to have an event like we're having today. And so the day before, I went out and mowed the grass around the pumpkin patch. The next day though, I went back, the pumpkin patch was gone, and the grasshoppers had come in and they had eaten every leaf. They even ate the vines. The pumpkin patch was bare. Fortunately, we found the Tudors, and they were friends of our family way back in the 50s and 60s, and they said, you know what, we'll raise pumpkins for you. And so that has been their job now for many years. I don't know, probably up to pretty close to 20 years.
My name is Jenny Tudor, and we grow our pumpkins out here on my family farm, Whistle Creek Farm. It was homesteaded in 1837 by my great-great-grandparents. And this is a plot that's about an 1.5 acre plot down here in our field. We usually grow about 10 to 15 different varieties of pumpkins for the Pumpkinfest. Some of those are Howdens, early giants. We grow some Connecticut fields, some heirloom pumpkins, pie pumpkins, which are oftentimes sugar pie pumpkins, and mini pumpkins for the children's tent are Jack B. Littles, Jill B. Littles, and Baby Boos. What's kind of interesting about this farm is the railroad tracks just to the north of us are what were originally the St. Joseph Hannibal railroad line that went from Hannibal to St. Joseph and delivered the Pony Express mail. And we usually start these pumpkins in May, and then usually about this time of the year, the end of September, is when we harvest them. And we oftentimes have high school students come out and help us with the harvest, pick them up and load them up and take them into town, where they end up carving them at the museum.
My name's Stacy Gray. And I'm Renee McCrary. We've been doing Pumpkin Mountain for about 22 years. And how I got involved was my dad actually had a car lot over here, and he was on the board of the on the board of the Pony Express. And then I also joined him on the board, and we started doing the festival, and then we started needing more people involved in the carving, and I got involved that way. And then I kind of recruited one of my good friends, and this is Stacy.
So anyway, every year we say it's going to be our last.
It is.
Here we are. So we're going to show you what goes into creating the mountain. These are some of the tools that I found last year on the internet.
And this is actually a pottery tool. So you can get that with, people that work with clay and things like that.
So we've got a book of logos that we go through. So I've got KQ2 chosen, and first we decide whether or not we're going to stand the pumpkin up or we're going to lay it down, depending on what is going to look best on the pumpkin.
If it's a larger logo, sometimes if you lay it on its side, you get more space to carve with and work with, so that helps out also.
Correct. So I'm going to show you first how to gut the pumpkin. We always gut it from the bottom rather than the top. That way we don't have a lot of loose lids. These little serrated spoons work the best for getting the most out. So you can see that's a pretty thick-walled pumpkin also. We always decide on the logo whether or not we should cut completely through or if we skin it. And we like to skin it because then that way it seems like it lasts longer.
The light goes through and it just shows off a little bit better when you do that.
So I've got a couple already, and I'll show you how we do it with this one here. You just use this and you just kind of go around the edge like that. And then you just try not to go too thick because you don't want to go all the way through. But if you do go all the way through, we have some chunks of leftover pieces that we use with toothpicks to kind of cover
We
up
put
some
them
of the
back,
holes.
yeah.
If you're not getting enough light penetrating through it, then just use this and then just go ahead and scrape in from the inside of the pumpkin.
Yeah, the finished project's here. This way we have already thinned the pumpkin and so that the light will shine through. So we actually use Vaseline is what preserves them. So any kind like that. And we just make sure we put it on all the creases and just kind of fill it in with the Vaseline. That way it doesn't curl and it stays preserved longer. We have close to 150 pumpkins that are logo pumpkins, but we also need pumpkins with designs and faces and things like that. So we decided we would recruit schools to help us. And so we've had great response with the schools helping us. We've had, let's see, Spring Garden has done it every year. Bodie Middle School has done it.
Yes.
Lafayette has done it in the past.
We deliver them and then the kids carve them. And I think the thing that I think that's most unique about it is that the teachers, it's not just the art teachers that are interested. I know Bodie, the English teachers have used them within their curriculum, in the English curriculum, where they have to write a story and then they kind of incorporate the character and their story into a pumpkin. The other thing too that I think is really cool is that there's just so many kids that this is their first experience of ever getting to carve a pumpkin.
Okay, so while we're preparing the pumpkins for Pumpkin Mountain, we can always look out our window and watch Ed, who's over here.
Hi girls, what do we need now?
We have Ed and his crew outside preparing the scaffolding for the pumpkins to go up. So,
and we usually line the front of the mountain with hay bales, and then we have all of the,
the painted pumpkins.
400 to 500 little painted
probably.
Pumpkins.
And those kids, usually I think it's St. Francis, they come, their pumpkins, we deliver them to them, and then they bring them back here, and then we line our mountain with the painted pumpkins too, just to add some color and have involve more children.
My name's Randy Schultz, and I'm in charge of lighting the Pumpkin Mountain. Years ago in a board meeting, they wanted to light pumpkins, so we decided that instead of candles, we were going to use electricity. So I went out, being in the electrical trade, I found where we made these, and we screw on these little plugs here and put the light on it. And we figured out if we have them 18 inches apart, it's the optimal to plug in pumpkin from pumpkin. Now it sounds kind of crazy, but that actually worked out very well. When the ladies are done, they bring out the pumpkin, and Ed and his crew, they drill a nice 1 5/8 hole, and then we'll insert these. When we're putting the mountain together, we start about 8 in the morning, and we get done about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It takes a while, so we have to string over 1,000 lights through there, so it takes quite a bit of manpower. But the best thing of volunteering down here at Pumpkinfest is at noon, we get fed by one of the best chefs in St. Joseph, Missouri. So, Carol, what do we have on tap for today?
I'm Carol Myers, and I'm the volunteer cook and have been for 10 to 15 years. Usually the week beforehand, we have prisoners who come and work and all the volunteers who are working on the pumpkins. So I come in that whole week and serve lunch. So I just come in and serve a different meal each day for lunch until we're ready on Friday for Pumpkin Mountain. So we'll see you in 2021.
My name is Cindy Daffern. I serve as the executive director at the Pony Express Museum. When I first got the job, they said you're going to have to do something called Pumpkinfest. I had no idea what they were talking about. This would be my 16th year, but what I'm the most proud of is how the community come together, watching kids bring pumpkins, coming and saying, "Look at mine, there it is, Mom," or people coming and saying, "Look at the Pumpkin Mountain," and they're going to light it up, and thousands of people waiting to watch what Stacy, Renee, and Randy and all of the volunteers have done. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, as this is a fundraiser for the museum to keep us open in the months that are slower, so we thank all the many years and support that's been given to this mountain, and we hope you enjoy this showcase of how we put it together. So we'll see you again in 2021. But until that time, Randy and his crew is going to light up the museum and the front of the porch. Stop by after October the 10th and see the lights we're going to leave on just for you.